My name is Alejandra Ortega. I am one of the nurses from South Texas Health System McAllen.
I'm Dr. Carlos Palacio. I'm one of the trauma surgeons at South Texas Health System McAllen.
And today we will cover Stop the Bleed course. This started after the Sandy Hook shooting. Leaders from law enforcement and from our medical community, they got together and they created this course. Why create this course? We do need this training because it is the #1 cause of preventable death after any injury. This is our official bleeding control kit from South Texas Health System McAllen Trauma, and this is what's inside, and you can make your own at home. So we do have gloves in here, and this is basic just to protect yourself from blood pathogens. So you do want gloves in here. We also have scissors and a Sharpie. Scissors, that way you can cut the t-shirt, you can cut the pants, that way you can identify where the bleeding is coming from, and the Sharpie will later be used for our tourniquet. We do have gauzes. We have gauzes, different types of gauzes in our kit to control the bleeding. We can use these for wound packing or putting direct pressure. And lastly, we have our tourniquet. Our tourniquet, this is where we will use our Sharpie. Once we've applied the tourniquet correctly, we're going to put the time that we applied the tourniquet. And this is our basic bleeding control kit. And where can I use this training? I know mass casualty shootings get a lot of attention, but the truth of it is that a lot of bleeding emergencies do happen on the road, at home, and at work. So that's why it's very important for us to know what to do in these cases. So our goals are to identify a life-threatening bleed. And #2, once we've identified life-threatening bleed, we need to stop the bleed. It's very important for us to stop the bleed. There's 3 ways we can stop the bleed: by putting direct pressure, by packing a wound, or by using a tourniquet. Now, before you go out there and help anybody, it's very important for you to ensure your own safety. Because if it's not safe for you to go out there, then you're gonna get injured too. And who's gonna help you out then? So as far as safety goes, wear your gloves if you have a pair of gloves. If you do not have gloves with you, use any plastic that you can find. You can use a trash bag, you can use Ziploc bags just to protect yourself. Let's say you don't have any of these, you can still help someone that's in need. All you have to do afterwards is just wash your hands with soap and water. Just wash thoroughly, 20 seconds. Once EMS gets here, you tell them, hey guys, I got exposed to blood, and they'll guide you through the right process on what to do next. Now we're gonna move into ABCs of bleeding control. A is for alert. We're going to alert 911. B is for bleeding. We do need to find the source of bleeding. And C is for compress. We're going to compress and stop the bleed. So whenever we alert 911, it's very important to do it ourselves. So I'm gonna get my cell phone out, I'm gonna call 911. Now, if I can't do it because I'm gonna help my victim, what you can do is assign the task specifically to someone. So if you know the person by name, just call them out. Hey, you call 911. It is very important for us to assign the task, because if I just scream out, help, help, somebody help me, somebody call 911, nobody's going to alert 911. Everybody's gonna assume that somebody else is going to do it, and it's not gonna get done. So very important for us to assign the task specifically to someone. Know your location and follow the instructions provided by your 911 operator. After A, we're gonna move into B. We do need to find the source of bleeding. You can cut the t-shirt, you can cut the pants, that way you can see where the bleeding is coming from. Once you see the wound, now you need to identify if this is a life-threatening bleed. Well, what does a life-threatening bleed look like? If you see that there's blood coming out and it won't stop coming out, that is a life-threatening bleed. If you see that the blood is coming out with a pulsation, that is a life-threatening bleed. If the t-shirt is getting soaked with blood, the pants are getting soaked with blood, that is a life-threatening bleed. If there's a puddle of blood next to your victim, that is a life-threatening bleed. So once you see any of these, the blood won't stop coming out, the t-shirt is getting soaked with blood, you need to act immediately and move into C, which is compression. You're going to compress and stop the bleed. One way we can compress and stop the bleed is by putting direct pressure over the wound. So you're gonna first, if you have access to gloves, you're gonna put your gloves on. If you don't have access to gloves, let's say in this case, I don't have gloves with me, I cannot find a piece of plastic to protect myself, I can still help this victim that's bleeding out. One way I can compress and stop the bleed is by putting direct pressure. So I'm gonna get my gauze if I have a gauze. If I don't have a gauze, I can use any piece of fabric that I have with me. I'm going to put it directly above the wound. I'm gonna put it directly above the wound. Use both hands, interlock. I'm gonna use my weight and apply direct steady pressure. And I'm going to stay here until EMS arrives.
If you're not able to achieve control of the bleeding by adding some pressure, another maneuver you can try is wound packing. What you have to do is try to expose the area that you want to pack, try to remove any clots that you already have in there, and then using a piece of cloth, then you can use one of your fingers to pack the wound as tight as you can. Sometimes this is going to require a little bit of enough length of the material so you can go all the way down deep in the wound. Once you're done packing, you can take the rest of your cloth and put some additional pressure as explained before.
When we have a bleeding emergency from the arms or the legs, one thing we can use is a tourniquet if you have one. If you have a tourniquet with you, this is the first thing that you want to use. The tourniquets are for adults only, so if you have an infant or a very, very small child, the tourniquet is not going to fit on their arm or the leg, but you can still stop the bleed by putting direct pressure or by packing a wound. You would still pack the wound or put direct pressure the same way as you would do for that adult. Tourniquets, you're gonna apply 2 to 3 inches above the bleeding site. So if my bleeding's coming from here, I'm gonna put it 2 to 3 inches above the bleeding site. There is a red tip. You're gonna put it through the hook and you're gonna pull on it as tight as you can to make it tight. You're gonna go all the way around and stop at the C-clip. That is step 1. Then 2, you're gonna turn the rod and turn the rod and turn the rod until the bleeding has stopped. Once the bleeding has stopped, you do have to secure the rod inside your clip. It has to be secured in here. You put the rest of the Velcro through, and the last thing is the strap with the time, and you put your time here.
It's very important for you to mark the time so that EMS already knows how many hours do they have to take the tourniquet down.
In 2019, our governor here in Texas signed House Bill 496. House Bill 496 states that all public schools and charter schools, all employees, they need to have stop the bleed training. And not only do you need to have the training, but the school needs to give you the supplies that you need as well. They're asking for you to provide tourniquets, gauses, Sharpies, scissors, chest seals, and emergency blankets. We'll talk about emergency blankets and chest seals. Chest seals are for chest wounds. So anytime you have any wound on your chest, so you see a hole on your victim in this part right here or in the back, that's the time that you want to use your chest seal. You can open it from red to red. You see the 2 red dots, you open it from red to red, you take out your patch and you put it directly on top of the wound. So let's say you don't have these chest seals for chest wounds. Well, what else can you use? You can use any plastic that you have with you. So if you have a piece of plastic, you can just put it on top and put 3 pieces of tape to it. Now, emergency blankets. Emergency blankets are added as well to keep your victims warm. So once you've identified that you have a life-threatening bleed, you already exposed the area, you already control the bleeding, now you need to keep your victim warm. You do have emergency blankets, and these are to prevent hypothermia, because if you leave your patient to stay cold, they can go into organ failure and they can even die because of this. So it's very important for us to keep them warm. So you're gonna use your emergency blanket, you're gonna get out from your packet, and you're gonna cover your victim. Frequently asked questions, impaled objects. What do we do with impaled objects? We do not remove the impaled objects. Once the paramedics get there, they're trained and they know what to do with the impaled objects, but we do not remove the impaled objects. Improvised tourniquets. Well, what about improvised tourniquets? Can you use improvised tourniquets in a bleeding emergency? It's not recommended because it does take a lot of skill and technique, and it's highly likely that you're going to fail in an emergency situation. In case you don't have the tourniquets, the professional tourniquets, what you can do is put direct pressure or start packing the wound and control the bleed. So in summary, very important for us to keep personal safety first. After we ensure our safety, then we move into A, which is that we're going to alert 911. B is for bleeding. We're going to find the source of bleeding. And C is for compress. We're going to compress and stop the bleed by putting direct pressure, packing a wound, or using a tourniquet. And lastly, we're going to wait for help to arrive.